This is the Seller Process Podcast, where we talk about the best systems, processes, and SOPs for your Amazon business so that you can regain control of your time, build up your team, and scale your e-com empire.
Hello, entrepreneurs. If you are looking for the most efficient process to perform keyword research and finally be able to identify the best possible keyword list to optimize, launch, and advertise your product on Amazon, then this episode is for you. Our guest today will share with us the ultimate keyword research process you don't want to miss. To share his knowledge with us, we brought to the show Bercaw. He spent 10 years in corporate America, working long hours, moving up the corporate ladder, and finally got tired of working for someone else. So he quit his job right before COVID and started his first Amazon brand that he recently sold, and he is now focused on building more brands while helping other sellers scale their brands using very innovative Google Sheets-based tools. You will see that in shortly. Welcome, Brett. How are you doing?
Good. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. So I'm very excited about this because it's very current. You know, I'm also looking for something to step up my keyword research process. So let's dive right in. And, I'd like you to give us a quick overview, like a high level overview of the steps that you follow for an effective keyword research, and then we will go deep into each step.
Yeah, sounds great. I guess first off, before I get started, this process was kind of originally perfected and introduced to me by my buddy Adam. He's got a really popular YouTube channel, Heist YouTube. So if you saw in the US, you've probably seen some of his videos, but he originally put out a video like 2 years ago, and I took what I learned from that video and kind of took it up a couple notches and have been working with Adam ever since on just kind of perfecting the process and done a lot of case studies on what works well and kind of whatnot. But yeah, in general, the process is you're going to be using Helium-10 data, specifically your top 10 competitors within your niche. And it's pretty critical that the buying intent and the sellers that you're actually analyzing and your competitors are doing well, meaning they've got some consistent sales and are performing the highest in the niche. And you just really want to make sure your product is highly relevant to the ones you're analyzing. That's pretty crucial. But the idea is you're taking all that data and chopping it up in a way that it's giving you essentially what keywords that they're ranking for well and what they're getting their sales from. And then you're able to take that list very, very quickly, filter that list and assign some relevancy to it and base that on kind of what terms are doing well again, and then also the search volume. And then just work that into a really targeted keyword list that you can use for your PPC campaigns, your listing optimization, so on and so forth. So it's good for new launch products. And also if you're trying to like revive or continue to index and rank for more keywords, you can do it almost in a systematic monthly way. And that's kind of what we've deployed into our SOPs and seem to be working well. So I can definitely walk you through the detailed steps on how to do that, both if you want to just do it manually. There's ways you can do that. Adam's got a great video, like I said, he put out about 2 years ago that steps through the actual manual process, but we've got a more kind of automated way that I can assist with, and there'll be a free tool too at the end of this video that you can have access to. So
yeah, for sure. That's very interesting. So guys, Brett, he's a pro on building Google Sheets that automates lots of the processes that we go through on Amazon. So you will have the access to this tool you can just find the link in the show notes of the cellularprocess.com, find this episode, or in the description of the YouTube channel, the YouTube video. So let's dive right into the steps of this process, Brett. So just walk us through with an hypothetical product. Let's say, I don't know, it can be a taco holder or anything that you like, and let's try to kind of simulate these steps with this hypothetical product.
Sure. Sounds good. Yeah. So let's pretend we're looking for a taco holder. The first step you're going to want to do is go to Amazon and type in the main keyword. Usually, I think your user base knows how to kind of find the main keyword. It'd be, in this case, likely taco holder. So type in taco holder. And then what you're looking for is the top 10 competitors doing the highest revenue typically. And you do want to pay attention closely to, again, your relevance to your product. So if you've got like a plastic taco holder and the top competitors are stainless steel, then you want to kind of negate those and pay attention more to the plastic. But again, you're looking for the highest, most relevant competitors. And you also want to pay attention to how long they have been selling. So if they're like only a month in, they could be doing some giveaways or something that's a little bit shady. So you want to kind of keep that in mind and just try to get really good historical competitors that seem to be, make the most sense to research and figure out what keywords that they're ranking well for. So Cerebro is kind of the go-to data analysis tool for the reverse ASIN for this step. So you're basically if you have Helium-10, you can open up their Chrome extension and then just click the top 10 competitors that you see there when you run, I think they call it X-ray. So pick those, and then you'll run a Cerebro search, which basically will drop you into Helium-10, and then you can automatically grab the ranking data is what we're ultimately looking for. So both search volume and ranking data, that data gets exported from Helium-10. So that's kind of step 2 is once you get into Helium-10, you can run a few slices on the data set that returns there. If you want to do, say, search volume, anything above 300 searches per month, sometimes that scrubs out quite a few of the terms that just aren't really worth looking into. And then gives you, usually that export's going to be around 2,000 rows worth of data or targets that we're going to be looking at. And then from there, you're just going to export that to Google Sheets. And once you import that, you can manually just kind of walk through this process that I'm going through right now. If you know how to write formulas and kind of slice and dice your spreadsheet. But again, if you don't know how to do this, there'll be a free tool at the end of this. You can just use that and it'll do it all for you.
I'm wondering, Brett, was when you filter this keyword list, you mentioned that one of the filter is search volume, for example, like above 300, right? Sure. That's one. What about something that I usually use is also the filter for organic versus sponsored product. Is that something that you use as well in this case? Because, for example, in my case, I'd like to see only the keywords that these brands are targeting or are ranking in the organic search, not sponsored search.
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually forgot that step, so thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, you just want to have the organic ranking shown up. So great point. Yeah, so there'll be a filter in Helium-10 to filter out essentially your sponsored ranking. And then, so organic rank is critical. So your export file is just showing your top 10 competitors, essentially their organic ranking, and then you've got your search volume alongside those. Those are the kind of critical data points you want at this step. So appreciate that, Marco.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, great. So once we have this list of keywords, which are, the one above 300 search volume, and they're only the organic ones. So what would be the manual process that we should go through to proceed? Yeah.
So now kind of the most important part is you're wanting to use the organic ranking data, and it's essentially just showing you the organic position. So if they're in position 1, it's going to have the value 1. If they're all the way up to like position 30, it'll show the number 30. So what we're going to want to do is Adam's criteria that he uses is 30, and I've adopted that as well, and it seems to work well. So anything essentially ranking better than position 30 or better, so 30 to 1, we're going to actually want to figure out how many of the top 10 competitors are for each keyword ranking 30 or better. So you come up with this score. So it's just kind of a count, sum if, or count rather, is what the formula ends up being in Google Sheets. So you're counting how many of the top 10 competitors have the ranking position 30 or better. And if that score returns, say, a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, so anything greater than score 3, we're going to move those targets, or I'm calling keywords targets. We're going to move those targets to our target keyword list. And then that score is really what's going to dictate how relevant the keyword is and how important it is for our product. Because remember, we've picked really highly relevant competitors, and these keywords are what our competitors are currently ranking really well for, meaning they're ranking in position 30 or better for. So we're just almost using this calculation to automatically tell us what keywords that we should be focusing on. Because if we can rank well for these keywords, the idea is that competitors are getting their sales from these, so then we can get our sales from these as well. And you can almost start to, if you use this on a systematic way month to month, you can almost use this data to see what some of your competitors have holes in kind of their process and aren't ranking really well for certain keywords, and you can target those and kind of move up the chain and try to get as many in the top 10 is ultimately the goal. That's really what's going to drive your sales forward. But just getting started, this is kind of the process to nail down our target keyword list, and that calculation there, as far as calculating that score and figuring out which targets to go after, is pretty critical. So does that calculation kind of make sense, Marco?
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. One thing that comes to my mind is that kind of a conversation I had with my PPC manager a while ago was that basically I was pulling out of the same kind of reasoning that you just suggested. Yeah. But he was saying, like, for example, some of the keywords that maybe we only see 1 or 2 competitors ranking for those keywords were also potentially good opportunities.
Yeah.
Because maybe that's why it's an opportunity, because not many other competitors are ranking for that. But if you read the actual keyword, it makes sense. I mean, it sounds like it's relevant. So
yeah, that's actually the next step here, definitely. And I 100% agree with you on that. Adam Heist, he actually dubs those as like alpha ASINs. So it's basically, you have these alpha ASINs usually in a niche where they're going to be ranking for a lot more keywords than others, and that score that we just calculated would be less than 3. So it would be 1, 2. It'd be 1 or 2 in that case if you have just one competitor ranking in the top 30 and the others aren't. So those aren't going to show up and be added to our list at this point. But the next step is we're essentially going to look at what he calls a search volume market share. So it's basically your search volume for each ASIN divided by the total search volume. And you're basically just seeing for each ASIN how much search volume that they've got credit for all the keywords that they're ranking. And that calculation is just important to quickly see and identify which ASINs are considered the alpha ASINs. So you'll be able to just tell that at a glance in the tool we've built. But you can run that calculation as well in your manual spreadsheet. But what's critical is kind of what you said, Marco. We want to know which of the top 10 competitors could be potentially ranking for a lot of these keywords that the others aren't. And what the criteria we use for that is anything that is in the top 10 for these guys that the other guys aren't ranking for, we're going to pick those off and put them on our target keyword list as well. So those will be the ones that, again, are relevant. And you can kind of go down through those and check and just make sure, again, that they make sense. But if they do, you'd want to target those, because obviously your alpha ASIN in the niche is ranking well for them where the other 9 may not be. So you definitely want to get those over on your target keyword list to pay attention to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the concept of search volume market share is also quite interesting. And I'm curious to know, like, how are you using that data on, like, when you are reasoning in terms of what keywords should be?
Yeah, so basically for me, that's going to be at the step where we pick which alpha ASINs we want to move. So Adam will take maybe 2 or 3 that are the highest search volume market share. And in the tool we've developed, you just basically check those 3 ASINs, and then it moves any of the targets that they're ranking in the top 10 or better for. It'll move those over to your target keyword list if they aren't already on there. Where I do things a little bit different is I actually just pick all 10 of them, and I just want to know any of the targets that are in the top 10 for these guys that aren't already on the list. I'll move all of them, just because even some of the poorer performers may have 1 or 2 keywords that the others don't. So I just kind of want to know those. And then my last step that I'll get to here is soon is I'll go down through manually and just check the relevancy of every keyword, look at the search volume, and just kind of make a manual check, yes or no, if I want to keep it on the list. But yeah, that search volume market share is a quick way to identify which ASINs are just really doing well with kind of one specific number compared to each other.
Okay. And do you see like a direct correlation between the top sellers and the ones with the highest market share?
Yeah, I mean, usually, usually you're going to always see that the highest performer that's selling the most have a pretty substantial higher market share when it comes to search volume. That's been a pretty consistent trend. Now, you may have a couple that are pretty close to each other. And obviously it does tend to favor the ASINs that have been around a while and have, good reviews build up, and especially if they've got something a bit unique where it's not as easy to copy. That's a pretty identifiable trend that we've seen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, I just pointed that out because then basically this number will help us identify, the ones that we want to target, the ASINs that we want to target. They're not only the top sellers, but now we know also in which keywords they're ranking highest, so we can kind of try to close the gap, try to emulate them and be as close to them as possible. I think that's critical as well. So now we have this keyword list that we generated through the analysis of these other competitors. What do we do next?
Yeah, so this next step's optional. It's going to be a little more challenging if you're doing it manually, but I can try to walk you through how I'd go about it. Basically, if you're brand registered, you can go into brand analytics and type in your main keyword, and in our case, it'd be taco holder. And then you can pick kind of a date range there, or I think it's a period. So they do like monthly or quarterly or something like that. You can pick from those, and I just like to pick whichever one gives me the most results. But you're essentially trying to use brand analytics data, keyword data, and it's going to show you the past. What does it show you? It shows you the most, the 3 ASINs that have the most sales, I believe, is kind of how their criteria is. But you basically want to export the brand analytics keyword data, and you can import that in addition to your Helium 10 data and just use that as a way to kind of aggregate more keywords. And what you'll find sometimes is some of this brand analytics data is not going to be in the Helium 10 data. So you can get a lot more insight there onto some other keywords. And that's straight from Amazon. So that's going to be more accurate than the Helium 10 data. And another nice feature of the tool we developed is, and this is in the free one too, you can get at the end of the call, is it'll transcribe the brand analytics data onto your Helium 10 target keyword list that we've built thus far. So you can see the search frequency rank. So that correlates to search volume. It's basically a lower search frequency rank is going to be higher search volume than it's kind of flip-flop. So search volume from Helium 10, it's the higher the number, the better. Search frequency rank from brand analytics, it's the lower, the better. So we kind of put those in columns side by side, and you can get an idea how accurate the Helium 10 data is as well. So that's helpful. But there's the brand analytics data. You can also grab Amazon recommended keywords. Like if you go into a PPC campaign and manually try to create one, there'll be a bunch of keywords there that they recommend. So you can export that. And then there's also the Amazon search bar that can be really powerful. So if you grab that data and you're going to manually import those 2 data sets there. But the idea is just we're trying to aggregate as much of this really highly relevant, useful keyword data into one place and build that into our target keyword list, and then kind of go from there. So Does that make sense up to this point?
Yeah, for sure. So we aggregate at this point keywords coming from our competitors, from brand analytics, from Amazon itself, from the search bar, or the other ways you mentioned. So then at this point, like, do you have any method like that to prioritize these keywords? So for example, if we're going to run PPC or optimize our title, for example, like how do we prioritize these keywords?
Yeah, so that's kind of the last step that we haven't talked about yet. We need to get, once we have all of our keywords in this target list, we're going to have to come up with a prioritization. And what I like to do is just assign a number like 1, 2, and 3. So my priority ones typically are going to be the higher search volume keywords that my competitors are already ranking really well for. So I look at their top 10 to start out with. And I just, what the tool does is it's going to, we've got all of our target keyword lists built out now into one kind of 3-column list. Let's say it's our keyword, our search volume, and then we've got the organic data of our top 3 competitors. We put that in alongside our target keyword list, so we can just kind of quickly run some of these filters and try to assign these priorities a little quicker. That's the idea here. But what I do is I'll look and see from my top 3 competitors what they're ranking in the top 10 for. And those usually are all going to be priority ones for me because they're always going to be highly relevant. They're going to be high search volume and good keywords. So identify those. You want to usually look at, all the keywords above, say, 1,000 on the search volume are going to be really powerful because, especially if we're talking about launching and allocating initial PPC spend, you want to try to get the keywords that are highly relevant that most people are searching for. You aren't going to care as much about the 300s that we set our minimum threshold to be, at least at this point. So search volume and then organic rank to your top main competitors are going to be kind of my initial stab at assigning my priority ones. Then that usually gets you maybe halfway through your list. You'll have to make a gut feel call on your niche. Depending on which niche you're in, this keyword list can be completely different on how the numbers check out. But usually it gets you about halfway down, and then I'm moving over to just kind of manually going down through, usually sorted by search volume still. And just assigning a number 1. Again, if it's highly relevant is the crucial thing. You want to make sure your priority ones are all just extremely relevant, nothing like complementary keyword products, nothing like that. Those usually will get a number 2 from me. And then branded keywords and things like that will usually get a number 3 for as far as how I do it. But then once you've kind of got that nailed down, how you like it, you've got your keyword list, you've got a priority assigned to it. And then you're ready to start going over to, we've got a tool called the Listing Wizard that will allow you to basically type in your title, your bullets, your search terms, all that. And using your target keyword list, it'll kind of check it off as it goes and color codes it. So we've got kind of a process nailed down on how to execute that as well.
Okay, interesting. I'm curious to know, like, what's your take when doing product research? I'm guessing it will be different the way we approach it when we're optimizing, for example, an existing product versus creating, this keywords list for a new product, right? So, what's your take on that? How should we go about differently in this process?
Yeah. So, what we've talked about thus far has been more geared towards launching a new product, right? We picked top 10 competitors. We didn't include our own product. We don't have our title and all that, our bullets written out yet. So what we've talked about thus far is that process. Now, if you want to do it for an existing product, you would just include your product in with the 10 total. So there'd be 9 competitors plus yours. And you always, again, want to start from who's selling the best in your niche and the most relevant, and it's been around a good amount of time. Same buying intent, all that criteria applies, but now we're overlaying our own product in there. And the way the tool, and this is in the same free when you can get access to, you can put your own ASIN in the target keyword list, along with then it would be your top 2 competitors. So that's going to show you all your organic rank next to your top 2 competitors, and how each keyword checks out with how you're currently looking. And then With the listing wizard tool, you can have your existing listing content already in there, like your title bullets, all that stuff plugged in. And then you're able to kind of systematically or iteratively optimize each month based on what your competitors maybe are ranking really well for and you're not, or maybe you have some that say you're within striking distance of the top 10 and you want to move those up the chain. You can kind of shift your focus around and be more strategic and systematic about it.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, I'm curious to ask you, where are the common mistakes that you see people making when they do like keyword research, so we can avoid them?
Yeah, I think definitely just not focusing on the right keywords based on data. I think a lot of sellers will spend a little bit of time, or the worst thing they can do, in my opinion, is hire this process out and really not understand it or take the time to learn it, because it's arguably one of the most important things. If you really want to have a strong selling product in Amazon, you've got to get it right from the beginning, and the best sellers will have a way each month or even more frequent to update their listing and try to keep indexing and ranking highly for more keywords. So I think the competitor data is really important as well, because that's going to kind of shortcut you to finding the most relevant keywords that are already working well in that niche. So some sellers will use keyword tools and they're not necessarily related to competitor data that's working well, and paying attention to that organic ranking. And search volume is another one. That one is another important variable that if you're targeting a bunch of keywords that only have 100 searches a month, yeah, that can still get you some results. And if you've already worked out the ones 1,000 and above, that's some room to still improve. But starting there would be a mistake. So yeah, kind of just the stuff we've talked about thus far. I think if you build your keyword research strategy on a base similar to kind of what we've gone over, you're going to be in a pretty strong position to launch your product. And then if you keep that momentum up after the launch and keep your ranking in a position that your search or your sales velocity keeps going, it can become almost a snowball effect.
Yeah, for sure. You got to do your homework, basically. Yeah. So if you do basically the keyword research right from the beginning, then everything else is gonna fall into the system, and it's gonna work well for you. So Brett, you know that at the seller process, we're big on systems and processes and SOPs. So before we close, my last question for you is, what is your best advice to achieve more with less when it comes to keyword research?
Yeah, so I think Helium 10 actually lets you still do 2 Cerebro runs for free. I'm not 100% on that, but I would assume most of your users probably have a Helium 10 subscription. But that's going to be your one thing that may cost a little bit if you can't do the 2 free runs per day. But if you can get the data, your competitor data, this Keyword Dominator tool that I've been referencing throughout the video, it's 100% free. You can just go to fbaexcel.io and download it, and you can use the Helium 10 exports to essentially step through the process that we've just discussed. So that'll get you by and get you really far along on getting your listing up to par.
Right. Essentially using automation, what you're suggesting, and that's what you've built so far. So I'm curious, let people know. Obviously, you described the system that people can walk through that by themselves manually, but I know that you've got a very powerful spreadsheet that can do everything automatically for them, and you guys can go download that in the show notes of this episode at thesellerprocess.com or in the description of the YouTube video. So tell people how can you help them, and what do you do to help them automate their business?
Yeah, so definitely my niche and kind of forte is the Google Sheets based tools for Amazon sellers, specifically Amazon FBA. So we've got the keyword tools we've talked about. We've got accounting tools, metrics tracking. We've got a really powerful agency level PPC tool using bulk operations. There's really nothing quite like it in the industry currently. So just a lot of just unique and innovative tools that can help automate the daily operations, mostly operations focused tools is what we specialize in. So yeah, fbaexcel.io, got a free 30-day trial. You can sign up for all the premium tools. And then we've got a The keyword tool that you can sign up for is 100% free. We've got a PPC tool as well you can get for 100% free just by signing up for the free plan there. So you can just check it out and definitely reach out to me personally. I'll be the one responding to you. So I always enjoy locking arms with other like-minded Amazon sellers.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so guys, go check out Brett's website. You'll find all the links and go download everything. Remember that the key to success is to emulate the best. So start acting on the tips that Brett just shared with us, and remember to download the free keyword dominator tool that you will find in the show notes, and start using it, because that's gonna really level up your keyword research game. Thank you again, Brett, for coming in the show. And yeah, hope to see you in the next episode.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Marco.
Yeah, thank you for listening, guys. See you next time. Hey, entrepreneurs, I hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something from the interview. If you're serious about creating systems for your business, automating processes, and building up your team so that you can transfer the tedious daily tasks in order to focus on more high-level strategic tasks and work on your business and not in your business, I've created a guide for Amazon sellers named Capturing Systems and Creating SOPs that you can find at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook, where you will learn how to leverage systems and SOPs in your Amazon business so that you can accomplish more by working less, optimize your time, automate and delegate tasks, and reap the benefits of being a true business owner and not simply an operator in your own business. Go download the ebook at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook and start implementing all the tips and insights that I share with you. And leave us a review or a comment to let us know how the content we are sharing here is making an impact in your business. And have a productive week.